I went back inside to grab my keys and heard my partner's secretaries talking about his affair. The worst part? It's with someone I trusted, someone very close to me. That moment broke everything I thought I knew. My name's Jackie. I'm 34, married to Ethan for 6 years. Our marriage always felt solid, like we had something good. We respected each other and shared a lot. But over time, I noticed small things changing. Ethan started working late more often. He put a new password on his phone and suddenly traveled for work a lot. I told myself it was just stress, nothing more. I wanted to believe that. Then one day, I forgot my keys and had to wait outside. That moment was the first crack in everything I thought I knew. It felt small at first, but it opened a door I wasn't ready for. I was already running late when I remembered I'd left my keys in Ethan's office. I didn't want to go back, not really, but I needed them. So I hurried down the hall, the sound of my shoes echoing off the walls. His door was just ahead. I slowed down as I got closer because I heard voices, 2 women whispering. I stopped just out of sight. They sounded like his secretaries. One said, "Did you see them together last weekend?" The other answered, "I can't believe he's doing this." I froze. My heart dropped into my stomach. They said he, and it had to be Ethan. I didn't want to hear more, but I couldn't help it. I caught only bits of what they were saying, but it was enough. I felt my throat tighten, and my hands started to shake. I thought about walking away, but I needed those keys. I waited silently, hoping they'd finish soon. After a few minutes, they moved down the hall, their voices fading. I waited until I was sure they were gone. Then I slipped inside Ethan's office. The room was empty, quiet except for the ticking of the clock on the wall. I looked around quickly. The keys were on his desk, just where I left them the other day. My mind was spinning. Who were they talking about? What did together last weekend even mean? I kept glancing at the door, half expecting someone to walk in and catch me there. My fingers trembled as I picked up the keys. I wanted to leave, but I hesitated. A part of me was desperate to know more. I wanted to find out what they meant by doing this. I swallowed hard, trying to push the fear and confusion down. I couldn't put it all together yet. It was too fast. I tucked the keys in my pocket and headed for the door, but I paused just before stepping out. Something in me didn't want to leave it like that, not without answers. But I also didn't want to make a scene. So I stepped back into the hallway and closed the door softly behind me. The silence that followed was heavier than I expected. I kept going, my mind racing with questions I didn't know how to ask. I thought it was just a misunderstanding. Maybe I was jumping to conclusions. But the knot in my chest told me otherwise. I thought whatever was happening would stay hidden. But the silence that followed said otherwise. That night, I came home earlier than usual. The house was quiet, too quiet. I dropped my keys on the table with a little more force than necessary. Ethan was in the living room, scrolling on his phone. I stood there for a moment, trying to steady my voice before I spoke. "Who were you with last weekend?" I asked, keeping my tone as calm as I could. I watched him look up, blink a few times like he didn't understand what I meant. His face didn't change much, but I caught a flicker of something. Maybe surprise, maybe annoyance. "What are you talking about?" he said, sounding like it was the dumbest question in the world. I took a step closer, folding my arms. "I heard your secretaries talking. There's someone else, isn't there?" He sighed and leaned back into the couch, running a hand through his hair. "Jackie, they're just rumors. You know how office talk is. People like to make stories out of nothing." I wanted to believe him. I really did. But the way he said it didn't feel right. It was too easy, too smooth. Like he had said it 100 times before, just not to me. I kept my eyes on him, waiting for something else to slip out. But he just stared back, steady and unreadable. "I'm not saying you cheated," I said quietly. "But I need to know the truth. I can't keep pretending I didn't hear those things." He shook his head slowly. "Jackie, if something was going on, don't you think you'd know? I'm here. I'm with you." His words hit me differently than I expected. Part of me wanted to reach out and believe him. Another part was twisting, tightening, refusing to let go of the doubt. I swallowed hard and looked away, feeling the tension settle in the room like a thick fog. We both knew this wasn't over. There was something between us that wasn't being said, and it was growing heavier with every second. I wanted to press more, to demand answers, but I didn't have anything concrete. No proof, no confession, just a nagging feeling that something was wrong. I clenched my fists, trying to hold on to some sense of control. Ethan got up and walked to the kitchen. He didn't say anything else. The silence stretched out between us, loud and uncomfortable. I could hear my own breathing, fast and uneven. Finally, I broke the silence. If there's nothing, then why won't you just tell me? He paused, then looked at me with tired eyes. Because sometimes, Jackie, things are complicated. And sometimes, people just want to believe the best in each other. His voice was soft, but there was a distance there. A wall I couldn't get past. I nodded slowly, trying to hide how much it hurt. I wanted to scream, to ask him to prove it. But I stayed quiet. I went to the kitchen and poured myself a glass of water. When I turned back, he was already gone, heading to our bedroom. The door closed softly behind him. I stood there for a long time, staring at the spot where he had been. The doubt was still there, more alive than ever. But so was the fear of what would happen if I pushed too hard. I thought it was just a rough night. Maybe things would go back to normal in the morning. But the space between us felt wider now, like a crack that wouldn't heal. I didn't know how to fix it, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to. I waited until Ethan went into the bathroom to shower before I grabbed his phone. My hands were shaking, but I told myself I needed to know the truth. I unlocked it quickly, hoping to find something, anything, that made sense of the distance between us lately. The screen lit up with messages, and my heart sank the moment I saw the name, Alex, popping up over and over. I started reading. The texts weren't just casual. They talked about plans for weekends, places they'd been together, personal moments. It wasn't just flirting. It was something deeper. My chest tightened as I scrolled, feeling like I was watching my whole world crumble. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I closed the phone, took a deep breath, and waited for Ethan to come out. When he stepped into the bedroom, dripping wet and wrapped in a towel, I held the phone out to him without a word. His eyes immediately locked onto the screen. "We need to talk," I said quietly. He nodded, and I could tell he was already bracing for this. "I'm sorry," he said, voice low and tense. "I didn't want you to find out like this." I waited, not moving, not saying anything. "Alex is your sister," he finally admitted. "We've been seeing each other for a year." The words hit me like a freight train. My breath caught, and I stared at him, unable to process what I'd just heard. "My sister," I gasped, the disbelief washing over me like a cold wave. I felt my knees buckle and had to sit down. That's not possible. Why didn't you tell me?" He looked down, ashamed. "I was scared. I didn't know how. I didn't want to hurt you." I shook my head slowly, trying to understand. "How could you not tell me? How could this happen? Why would you do this to me?" My voice cracked, but I was trying to stay steady. "All this time, with my sister?" Ethan's eyes met mine, and I saw the weight of his guilt. "I know it's wrong. I never wanted to hurt you. It just happened." I ran my hands over my face, trying to hold myself together. Suddenly, nothing made sense anymore. I thought I knew my family, my life, my marriage. But now it all felt like a lie. My sister, Ethan, together, for a year. I wanted to scream, to cry, to run away. But I just sat there, feeling numb. The room was silent except for the sound of water dripping from Ethan's hair. I looked at him and felt a strange mix of anger and sadness. Part of me still loved him, but another part wanted to disappear. "I need time," I said finally, voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know what to think right now." He nodded, understanding. "Take all the time you need." I thought it was over, but the silence that followed said otherwise. I didn't know what else to do, so I just grabbed my phone and called Lisa. My hands were shaking, and I kept fumbling with the screen before I finally got her. "Lisa, I need to get away," I said, my voice barely steady. She didn't ask questions, just said, "Come over. You can stay as long as you need." I hung up and stared at the empty living room around me. The silence felt heavy, like it was pressing down on my chest. I started packing a bag without really thinking, stuffing in some clothes, my toothbrush, anything that felt like a lifeline. My mind was racing, but my body moved on autopilot. Before leaving, I scribbled a note for Ethan. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to see him. "I need time to think. Don't contact me." It was short, cold, but it felt like the only way to keep some distance. I slipped out the door, the cool air hitting my face like a shock. I locked the door behind me and took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. The car keys felt heavy in my hand. I didn't want to drive. I just wanted to disappear. The drive to Lisa's felt endless. I kept replaying everything in my head. The moment I caught Ethan on his phone, the way he looked when I confronted him, the lies, the silence that followed. It was like my world had cracked, and I couldn't see how to fix it. When I got to Lisa's, she opened the door before I even knocked. No questions, just a hug. That was all I needed. A warm, steady presence in the middle of chaos. Inside, I sat on her couch, my bag at my feet, feeling like I didn't belong anywhere. Lisa handed me a cup of tea. I took it, my hands still trembling. She didn't say anything, just sat beside me, close enough to hold but not crowd. I wanted to talk, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I just stared out the window, watching the rain start to fall. It felt like the whole world was crying with me. I thought about how long I could stay here, how long I could avoid going back. I didn't know if I was angry, hurt, or just numb. Maybe all of it at once. Lisa reached over and squeezed my hand. "You're not alone," she said quietly. I nodded, but the knot in my stomach didn't loosen. I kept wondering if Ethan was trying to call me, if he was waiting for me to pick up. But I didn't want to answer. Not yet. I needed space to breathe, to think, to figure out what this really meant. The night fell quietly around us. The only sound was the rain tapping against the window. I thought it was over, but the silence that followed said otherwise. Lisa and I were sitting in her living room, the quiet between us thicker than I expected. She looked like she was holding something back, and after a long pause, she finally said, "Your sister's been to company events with Ethan." I blinked, unsure if I'd heard her right. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice tighter than I wanted. She sighed and looked down at her hands. "I thought you knew. They've been seen together at work dinners, parties, stuff like that. It wasn't some secret no one else knew. It was out there." I felt my chest tighten. I wasn't sure whether to be angry at Lisa for thinking I didn't know, or angry at Ethan for letting this happen so openly. I said nothing for a moment and just stared at the floor. The thought that this wasn't hidden, that people around us were aware, made something inside me sink. Lisa watched me carefully. "I'm sorry if this makes it worse. I just thought you should know." I nodded slowly, trying to pull myself together. "No, it's better to know." But the truth was, it wasn't better. It was worse. Knowing that it wasn't just a private betrayal, but something that others saw made me feel small and trapped. I thought about all the times Ethan came home late and said it was work, the excuses that didn't quite add up, the moments I'd brushed off because I wanted to believe in us. Now, it felt like everything was a lie. "Why didn't you tell me before?" I asked Lisa quietly. "I didn't want to get involved," she said. "I wasn't sure if it was my place. But then you told me you didn't know, and I felt like you deserved the truth." The room felt colder. I wanted to ask more questions, but my throat felt dry. I realized I was holding my breath. After a long silence, I said, "So, they weren't just sneaking around. They were showing up together, like it was normal." Lisa nodded. "Yeah, and a lot of people noticed. Some tried to warn you, but you didn't want to hear it." That hit me harder than I expected. The idea that people tried to say something, but I shut it out because I didn't want to see it. I hated feeling so blind. My mind raced. If this was out in the open, why hadn't Ethan said anything? Why hadn't my sister said anything? Or maybe they did, and I was the one who didn't listen. I looked at Lisa and asked, "Did they say anything? Your sister? Or Ethan? Did they ever talk about it at work?" Lisa hesitated. "Not really. They kept it quiet professionally. But it was obvious to anyone paying attention." The word obvious made me feel exposed, like I was the only one pretending everything was fine. I ran my fingers over the armrest of the chair, trying to steady myself. It's like my whole marriage was a show. Lisa didn't say anything. I could tell she wanted to say more, but held back. I swallowed hard, trying to keep my voice steady. I thought I was the only one who didn't know. That maybe it was just a mistake Ethan made. But this means it was more. She nodded slowly. "Yeah, I'm sorry." I didn't respond. I felt a strange mix of anger and sadness, but beneath it, a quiet numbness. The more I learned, the less I recognized the life I'd been living. We sat in silence after that. The only sound was the clock ticking on the wall. It felt like time was moving too fast and too slow at the same time. I thought about calling Ethan, but the words stuck in my throat. How do you confront someone when their betrayal isn't even hidden? When it's been happening in plain sight? I felt isolated, even though I was sitting with Lisa. The people I trusted most had been keeping things from me, or maybe I just wasn't paying attention. The idea that my sister and Ethan had been seen together at events made me question everything. What was real? What was just pretending? I wanted to ask Lisa more, but the questions felt too heavy. Instead, I just nodded and said, "Thanks for telling me." She gave me a small, sad smile. "Anytime." Later, alone in my room, I stared at the ceiling and felt a quiet ache. I thought the worst was finding out about the affair. But realizing it was never a secret, that it was happening out in the open, made the whole thing feel so much worse. I thought it was over, but the silence that followed said otherwise. I told myself I needed to talk to Alex, so I asked her to meet me at the cafe we used to go to as kids. It was late afternoon, not busy, just enough people around to feel normal, but not crowded. When she showed up, she looked tired, like she'd been awake thinking too much. I didn't waste time. As soon as we sat down, I looked her in the eyes and said, "Why, Alex? Why did you do it?" My voice was low, but it shook a little, and I felt tears coming. I blinked hard to keep them back. I wanted answers, not excuses. She didn't say anything at first, just stared at the table. Then finally, she looked up, and her eyes were soft but guarded. "Jackie, it just happened," she said quietly. "I didn't mean to hurt you." I wanted to believe her. I really did. But her words felt empty, like she was reading from a script she'd been practicing. It didn't match the way her face looked, all tense and uncomfortable. I tried to find some real regret in her voice, but what I heard was just the bare minimum apology. No real feeling behind it. I sat there, holding my coffee even though it was cold. I thought about all the things I wanted to say but couldn't. How could she not see the damage? How could she just brush it off like it was no big deal? I felt anger burning low inside me, but also this deep exhaustion. Like I had been waiting for this moment for so long, and now that it was here, I didn't know what to do with it. She kept looking at me, waiting for something. Maybe forgiveness. Maybe understanding. But all I could do was shake my head slowly and say, "That's not enough, Alex. Not for me." My voice was firmer now, steady. I needed to mean it, because I wasn't sure if I could keep carrying this with me if she couldn't even try. There was a long silence between us, the kind that fills up the space with more than words could. I wanted to reach out, to hold her hand like we used to. But my hand stayed wrapped around the cup, knuckles white. I didn't want to feel weak right now. Not after everything. Finally, I stood up. I put some money on the table for the drinks and said, "I need to end this chapter, Alex. For my own sake." I didn't look back as I walked out. The air outside hit me, cold and sharp, like it was waking me up. I kept telling myself I was doing the right thing, that I was protecting myself. But I felt this quiet sadness settle over me, like losing something I never really had but hoped for anyway. I thought it was over, but the silence that followed said otherwise. I got home pretty late that night. The house was quiet, darker than usual because I'd turned off all the lights when I walked in. Ethan was sitting on the couch, like he was waiting for me. I could tell from the way he looked up that he knew something was coming. I took a deep breath and sat across from him, holding the papers in my hand. I didn't say anything for a moment, just stared at him. Then I pushed the papers across the coffee table. "I'm filing for divorce," I said. My voice was steady, maybe colder than I expected. "It's over." He blinked, like he didn't quite hear me right. "Wait, what? Divorce? You can't be serious." His words were rushed, a little desperate. "I'm serious," I said, keeping my eyes on him. "I've thought about this for a long time. I can't stay in this marriage after what you did." He swallowed hard and stood up. "I'm sorry. I messed up, but I love you. Please, just give me a chance to fix this." I shook my head. "You don't get to say that now. You made your choice. You chose betrayal. You broke the trust we had." My hands were shaking a bit, but I kept my voice calm. "This is the consequence." He looked like he wanted to say more, but I cut him off again. "I don't want to hear apologies anymore. Actions matter. And you already made your move." For a second, he just stood there, looking defeated, like the weight of everything had finally hit him. Then he sat back down, his hands hanging between his knees. "I thought we could work through it. I didn't think you'd actually do this." I pulled the papers closer to me. "I've been holding on for too long. I gave you chances. I waited, hoping you'd change. But I can't live like this anymore. Not with the lies, not with the distance." He looked up, eyes red, voice barely above a whisper. "I don't want to lose you." I wanted to say something, anything, that would make this easier. But the truth was, part of me already felt like I lost him long ago. That love I used to feel was buried under all the doubt and pain. So I just stood up, grabbed my coat, and headed for the door. "I'm leaving," I said without looking back. He didn't try to stop me. There was nothing left to say. As I closed the door behind me, I felt this strange mix of sadness and relief. Like a weight was lifting, but also like something precious was slipping away. Outside, the cold air hit me. I pulled my coat tighter and took a few steps before I stopped. I thought it was over, but the silence that followed said otherwise. It's been 3 weeks since I walked out of our home for the last time and moved into Lisa's place. I filed for divorce the day after I found out about Ethan and my sister. I haven't talked to either of them since. I blocked their numbers and deleted them from social media. I didn't want any reminders. Lisa has been quiet support. She doesn't push me to talk about what happened. Most nights, I just sit on her couch, staring at the TV, but not really watching. I keep telling myself I'll get used to this new normal, rebuilding my life, one day at a time. It sounds easier than it is. Some mornings I wake up and remember I'm not at our home anymore. The bed feels different. The silence feels heavier. I try to push those thoughts away. I don't want to feel that pain again. But it sneaks back in when I'm alone, when no one's around to see it. I still have that box of our old photos in the corner of the room. I haven't opened it since I moved in. Some days, I think about throwing it out. Other days, I want to look through it and remind myself who I was before all this. But I'm too afraid of what I might find. The pictures feel like evidence of a life that's just gone. I don't know if I'll ever understand why my sister did what she did. It hurts more than I thought it would. But the worst part is knowing Ethan chose her over me. They didn't just betray me, they broke the family apart. Every time I think about that, I feel this deep ache in my chest, like a wound that won't fully heal. Lisa says I'm strong, but I don't always believe her. Sometimes, I catch myself imagining what it would be like if things were different, if I could go back and change everything. But I know that's pointless. I have to keep moving forward, even if it feels impossible. I've been trying to keep busy. Work helps. I throw myself into projects and meetings. It's a way to drown out the noise in my head. I've even started going to the gym again, though some days I don't feel like getting out of bed. But I go anyway. I have to. There's a part of me that misses the life I had. Not because I want to go back, but because I want to believe that happiness is still possible, that I can find a way to trust again. But right now, trust feels like a broken thing. Fragile things scare me. I haven't told many people what really happened. Most just heard the divorce part. I don't blame them for not asking. It's not easy to say out loud. Sometimes, when I'm alone, I replay the moment I found out. How everything just fell apart. How the world I knew shattered in an instant. Lisa doesn't push me to talk about it, but sometimes I catch her watching me, like she wants to say something but doesn't know how. I appreciate that. I don't want pity or advice. I just want someone to sit with the silence. I'm starting to see that this is going to take time. Maybe more time than I thought. But I'm trying to be patient with myself. Trying to accept that healing isn't a straight line. It's messy and slow, and sometimes feels like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I thought cutting contact with Ethan and my sister would make things easier. But sometimes I wonder if the silence between us is louder than their betrayal ever was. I don't know what comes next. I don't know if we'll ever speak again. And part of me is afraid to find out. For now, I'm holding on to the small things. The quiet moments. The days when I feel like I might be okay. Because even if it's hard to see, I still want to believe there's a life waiting for me beyond all this. I thought it was over. But the silence that followed said otherwise. The divorce papers are signed, but not finalized yet. I'm staying with Lisa for now while I figure out what comes next. It's strange, being in someone else's space, but feeling like I'm somewhere new. Not home, but not lost either. I hear from a friend that Ethan is still seeing my sister. I don't want to know more than that. It's better this way. I've learned a lot through all this. Mostly about trust. How easily it crumbles and how hard it is to rebuild. But also about myself. About having the strength to walk away even when it hurts. Even when a part of you wants to stay and fix what's broken. Sometimes, you just have to let go. The future feels like a blank page right now. That's scary, but it's also kind of freeing. No more secrets or lies weighing me down. I'm tired of pretending everything is okay when it's not. I want to find my own way, something honest and real. That's all I can ask for. I don't know what's next exactly. I don't have it all figured out. But I do know I won't settle for less than respect and truth anymore. That's enough to start with. Maybe it's not the ending I wanted, but it's the one I need. And maybe that's something. If you're going through something like this, just know you're not by yourself. It's hard to trust again when someone so close breaks that line. I get it because I lived it. What helped me was finding people to talk to, even when I didn't want to say much at first. You don't have to share everything right away, but just having someone listen can make a difference. It's okay to take your time figuring out what you want next. Don't rush decisions just because you feel pressured or scared. Your feelings matter, and your worth isn't tied to what happened or who hurt you. Protect that part of yourself, even if it feels fragile. Healing won't be quick or easy, but it happens. You'll find moments where the pain eases, even if just a little. Sometimes it feels like you're stuck, but keep going. Little steps count, even if they're slow. And if you mess up or feel weak, that's okay too. It's part of being human. Remember, you don't owe anyone an explanation for how you heal or where you go from here. Focus on what feels right for you. It might mean setting boundaries or walking away. Whatever you choose, trust yourself enough to stick to it. You're stronger than you think, even when it doesn't feel that way. Take care of yourself, and don't give up on the chance to find peace again.